Docking request accepted.
Good morning, New Eden. Today is July 26, 2024, and this is the Federation Frontline Report. I'm your host, Frozen Fallout, and my co-host is Nightflyer. How's it going, Nightflyer?
Hey, good evening, everybody. Doing well. My throat is a little sore, so I do apologize if it starts coming off a little bit raspy for everybody. But still feeling good, good spirits. I have wrapped up my my Eve break, so getting back into the game this week. Nightflyer has officially joined Faction Warfare as part of the Federation front lines. So we talked about 2 weeks ago that it has been done. Yeah, but other than that, went camping last weekend with the wife, which is why I wasn't around, which was nice. We went up to House on the Rock up in Wisconsin.
So I have a beef with you here. You said you were
Yeah,
not impressed with House on the Rock. Tell me
no.
more.
Well, first, okay, so I don't believe this guy's story. This guy like built all this stuff like himself and gathered all the time frame just doesn't work. Um, he's got this kind of weird house, which is kind of unique, and I understand why people want to go take a look at it. I mean, this guy built a house that's kind of similar to how a kid would build a tree fort.
With
The roof,
unlimited money.
yeah, the roofs are very low, and everything's covered in shag carpet. Um, but my wife's got really bad claustrophobia, so she can't like elevators and stuff like freak her out. So trying to walk through some of the hallways of this guy's house, she was just getting like really cringe. And it's just kind of a weird smell, like old people like smell in the house. I don't know. It's kind of stale. I don't know if it's the carpet or what, but there was that. And I guess the initial part of it, he's got like the dioramas and stuff kind of set up, which, I do a lot of modeling. I do a lot of figuring things. I got like my whole little hobby shop like over there. So
Right,
that's
yep.
what I do. And so I'm kind of into that, but seeing what this guy's done, and I'm like, I don't get it. Like, I'm looking at these dioramas, and they're not telling a story. Like, why do you have 50,000 doll heads like sitting in this window? Like, what are you trying to tell me? Like, what are you saying? Do you like dolls? Do you hate dolls? I don't understand. So, and after, that's one warehouse. And once you get to the third warehouse of just all this guy's garbage and crap, like stuck behind glass, yeah, we were just kind of done. There were a couple of neat things. I will give him that. They had like that steam room.
Steam room is really cool. The giant whale.
Yeah, the whale was kind of cool. I did like that. Although, and again, I got to put the time frame that that was built just actually he died before it was actually completed, right? So, but I'm just looking at that. Like I said, I do models and stuff, and I'm like, with so much of the acrylics and stuff that are out there, that water could have just looked like it was about to, saturate you. So there was that. But again, it was just long. It was just walking. It was just looking at things behind glass. And by the time we got to some interesting stuff like the armor room or the firearms and stuff and the old swords, my wife had it. She's like, she couldn't have run out of that place any faster. So, but we were just our thing. I get why people like it. I did like the House on the Rock. I did like the walking out of the infinity thing.
The infinity room is really cool. Imagine that without a carpet. So that's not supposed to have a carpet. That's supposed to be a see-through floor, and they changed it up at one point. But I remember walking out there and being like, as like a teenager, and like walking out like maybe 15, 20 steps and just being like, no. My brain just shut down, and I got down on all fours and I crawled back because like my
Yeah.
brain just was like, I am surrounded by nothing. I am walking into infinity on nothing. This is stupid. Like,
So, but yeah, but so that was, I mean, that's very unique. It's a very neat experience. The woods around the house have grown up so high that the view it must have had 20 years ago must have been magnificent compared to what it is now. Now you're really like the tree level's right there, like your eye level now. You're not seeing all of Wisconsin and its wonder. So
yeah.
that being said, we did camping up there. We got an RV. My wife and I rented an RV. Went camping up there. I mean, again, I love Wisconsin. I camp there a lot. And we're literally like 40 minutes from you. So from downtown Madison, it's just a wonderful area, right along the Wisconsin River, which is one of the most beautiful rivers like in the country. So it's very shallow. There's sand barges everywhere. That means there's parties on sand barges everywhere. So they had a live band out on the sand barge, which is just awesome. So yeah, we went from there and then we drove down to Lake Geneva, Wisconsin, which is the
nice.
home of
Great
the
area.
Dragon. Yeah, TSR.
Yep.
So,
Yep. Gary Gygax, the man.
Yeah, the man.
The legend.
And I went down there. My son got engaged to his longtime girlfriend. So they've been dating since high school. And so they got engaged. And then we drove down to Starved Rock and we camped down there in Starved Rock, Illinois. Which is interesting because my wife just sent me a message that someone actually died there this weekend hiking. They either fell or they somehow ended up off one of the cliffs. So
oh no.
Other than that, yeah. So news articles haven't come out yet, but again, gorgeous area along the Illinois River. Not as pretty as the Wisconsin River, but it's what we got. Very reminiscent with the tall rocks around the dells and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And rock, but camping was done. Came back, got back on the eve. Got all my stuff moved around. Got Night Flyer into Federation Front Line, and then you and I went out with a new FC on Thursday night, which was a lot of fun.
Wednesday night, yes. Wednesday night. Yeah, no, it was really good. It was good to see like a refreshing new guy. It was interesting to see somebody coming from Intaki, but using the shipcaster, in a good way, and
that was fun because I think that's like the second time I've done it. I talked about a couple streams ago. Like I'd done it once just to experience it, and then so this was the second time. And it was funny. I went from like, hey, dial S to Intaki, and then we shipcast to like Flat. Oh, I made like the 7 jumps to Intaki to come back to the 1 jump away from where I was. Maybe it was Devin. I think we landed.
It's Devin, but yeah. So yeah, it's the one thing is though is you skip gates, which is interesting. It's high sec, so it feels safer for people to kind of gather their people. Even though I think it's more dangerous, but whatever. It's point of views and criminal tags, stuff like that will prevent you.
I have noticed now they set one up in Villarear, so it may be something I use now in lieu of trying to make those extra jumps like through that system. So
well, one of the things that I'm thinking of is that Intaki sounds like a good place to start selling and buying items from people.
Mm-hmm.
And sell and buy ships and items that are very good at warfare, or there are items that are used, in PvP, which are just the ships that I want to buy anyways. So if I just seed the market there and then seed a bunch of ships there, I could theoretically, get around. The thing is that I have to not be a criminal, which is like the only thing that prevents me from doing that. So, but I still might buy and sell. Which actually might be kind of nice. Do that in Dixie and in Taki, and Hades.
I am gonna get a more into the whole market warfare. I have a lot of stuff. I have a lot of ideas of things. I'm starting to do some manufacturing now. I'm still cooking up. I think I'm on the last 30-day cook of my the Thrasher blueprints. I've got 3 of those, and I've got 2 of the Algos blueprints. So those will be completely researched, so they will have maximum saving on time and material costs. At 10%, 20% gains on those, so you can really start making a profit on some of the ships. Especially, so if I can get some ore cheap, I can build up some cheap ships. And
Yeah, so I've been in order to get ore, I've Trit seems pretty easy. Like, it's expensive, but it's not the most. The thing that Trit is not, even if it is more expensive than it normally is, the cost of the ship isn't in Trit. The M3 in the ship is in Trit. So hauling out all of this massive amount of Trit is just not fucking worth it. It's just not.
Yeah.
It's
No.
like you have to do some weird ass shit in order to haul out all this shit. However, there's tons of items that you can break down to get Trit from. There are miners in the area. There's tons of ways of people obtaining Trit that don't want to also haul it the fuck out from Hadeles.
Mhm.
And so I've been finding that Trit is actually, if you like, I think it's at 5 right now, 5 is, which is a substantial upcharge. But I'm buying at 5, and there's competition to a certain degree over that, like 4, 6 and stuff like that. I've seen other people kind of putting it up for, I think, and I'm just paying somebody to move it out if they want to move it out, or just give it. I just don't want to do any of that moving. It's so much hassle to move in an insane amount of Trit. But now I have like hundreds of millions of Trit that I have inside of Hadeles now at this point. So
Well, I guess I've got the buy order set right now. The price in your van gear. But yeah, I see you. You're like at 5. You're in Hade. So if someone doesn't want to bring it to Hade, just wants to bring it to Viambir, they can sell it to me for 411. Maybe I'll up my price. But
so
yeah, I'm with you on that. Like, I just don't want to ship the stuff around. I don't want to fill the 62 M3 in my hauler filled with Trit and bring it back, because I'll burn through that in a couple of jobs. And
yeah,
uh,
it's
how many more
crazy
Trit?
how much Trit you actually need for something, and it's not that much value
No.
inside of the whole ship, like, because the isogen and other things like that will be where a lot of the cost goes into, and those are really small items, or small amounts that you need comparatively, and you can easily ship those in with a cloak hauler. All the little stuff. Pyrite is, I think, is a little bit up there, and I think it's just pyrite is the other one that's like
Yeah,
heavy.
I had to actually stop production because I ran out of it, and I was sad. I was sad at that. But yeah, kind of the same thing. You put these things out on a buy order, and yeah, I'm kind of getting into that now. And I think we talked about this last stream, like 2 weeks ago too. Is like, if the time I'm saving by paying a little more here and not having to go to Jita and pick it up, is such a benefit to me.
Oh yeah, it
So,
just allows you to undock, get into the action, do
you're like,
stuff
oh,
like.
you can save so much money. I said, yeah, if I could save so much money, if I make the 10 jumps to Jita and 10 jumps back.
And the one
And
thing that I've
I
been
can lift up.
doing is being very conscious of, if I do the trip, I'm trying to get as much of
Mhm.
the stuff, like modules and stuff like that. I'm just getting like 20 or 30 at a time, like, so like I'll buy up 127 guns in Jeddah, so that I have
Yeah.
20 fits worth of stuff, and then I can seed that out. And all of this pretty much comes off of really just having a faction warfare income
Mhm.
allows me to I make enough money LP wise to pretty much replenish and keep on having like 20 or so ships of every category that I kind of want, up to like, you know, I think I have like 150 ships or something like that right now, fitted and ready in Hades. Um, and building my own stuff is like building my own ships is something that I've got really into as of late because I don't want to haul out giant ass ships. And if I can, and I get these blueprints and I don't want to go anywhere, so I just, build everything in Hades now, live in Hades, um, and have like, Yvangir is kind of my backup stop now that I can my fallback position and
I'm still doing so much stuff in Yvangir. So, yeah, even between there and I'm in the wrong station. Damn it. All right, I'm gonna say that.
but yeah,
So,
so
I was just I was trying to adjust my market order and realized I'm in the wrong station. So.
but yeah, there's been a lot of really good things that have been happening lately. I also went out and touched grass, so that's where I went out to um,
Oh yeah, played in the
on
water.
Sunday, and we went rafting, and so it was really calm and fun, and we just or not rafting, we went kayak.
Kayaking.
Yep. And yeah, the kayaking was just great. We kind of just all hung out, had fun, um, and it was just a really chill thing down the river and stuff. But we did get to this big, halfway point basically, where it's this big dam, and you have to go down, and the water had risen in an insane amount. So
Yeah, we've gotten tons of rain.
yeah, it's been like really crazy how much rain we've had lately. So this thing was like crazy. Like this the rapids that this was creating just on like from to get from the landing that you pushed out, and it was immediately after the dam, and it was just pushing you right into this giant tree that was like basically laying across the thing. And
Right, so
one of my buddies capsized, another one barely made it through, and the rest of us decided to wade it through. So we had to walk out and walk because it wasn't very deep at that area. So you could just walk out and kind of still, be up to like your mid chest basically, and you're kind of just barely getting through, but.
Yeah, from the video, it looked like the water was moving pretty good too.
Oh, it was crazy right there,
Yeah.
and just right there. Everywhere else, everything else is real chill.
Yeah,
And
I saw your buddy he got stuck up on the log, and I was like, oh, it's just not where you want to be. It's not where you wanna
no, yeah. Once it started taking in water too, it was just murder. Like
be. Yeah, yep. I like kayaking. I
no
enjoy it.
hurts though.
My
No,
wife too. So
I love it, man. It's really relaxing. We do it like once or twice a year, basically, in the summer.
yeah, I've got a friend that has a house up in Crandon, so a few hours north of you, more towards like Tomahawk in that area.
Yeah.
And yeah, a lot of kayaking out on that lake there. So
Watched a soccer game. That was fun.
what? Like a real
A
one?
live one for Madison forward.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, we actually went out to the game. That was a lot of fun.
I've been working on house projects. Where my wife and I are getting new carpet tomorrow. So, my dog passed away a couple months ago. We had to have her put down, and
Yeah.
our thing is, when we put her down, that we're gonna have to get new carpets because she was 16, and she had old dog issues. She couldn't control her bladders and that kind of thing, and it was very sad. But yeah, the house got smelly, so I ended up ripping a lot of the carpets, going through and sealing the wood flooring, and we've been trying to get carpet in for like a month, and between just everything snowballs. We go to get the carpet, and we're like, well, if we're gonna rip the carpet up, we got to replace our stair rails because, my house was built in 1987, and the stair rail that they had up there, it really looks like the Brady Bunch stair rail. It's just very large and square. It's just not attractive anymore. So my wife's like, let's do it. And so we got new rail. So we got the whole banister and the stairs and steps. And so the guy's putting that in. And he's like, well, what color is this wood going to be? Is it going to be the same as the wood floor here in the foyer, which runs through the dining room into the kitchen? And we're like, no, it's going to be more of like a walnut. And he's like, so you're going to do the wood floor too? And we're like, yeah. So a new carpet, new stairwell, had to get our wood flooring all repaired and fixed. And we got some painting and patching done because when we ripped out the stair rail and stuff, there was parts of the wall and stuff that it was affixed to that had to get fixed. So
Damn.
just snowballing. And so that's why we rent RVs and don't own RVs.
Well, let's switch over to some good news.
Yeah, happy fun time stuff.
So I'm liking this patch. So before we get into our main topic, which is going to be solo and faction warfare, we did have a very good patch that just recently came out on the 25th. So you want to go over the different feature changes here? I think we really only have to look at the most important ones, of course, that really matter.
I'm going to try to do that as soon as I can get my mouse to work.
Oh, no, you can't do that. The mouse shouldn't work. They're not designed to work. They're designed to be mice, running around, doing whatever they want, stealing your cheese.
Here we go. All right, we're back. All right, so we got the corporate projects. Information window will now pop up if player tries to create a corporation project with insignificant funds in the target wallet. I've actually tried to do that. Oh, that's interesting, and it's nice that it's got that set up. T1 ammo, so that I can spend some of my LP to upgrade it to faction ammo, and so I can set that up as a corp project for my guys. So.
Oh yeah. So I do have to say that the big one here is the market taxes reduced to 4.5% down from 8%.
Yeah.
Then that's not including standing. So if you have like perfect standings with these guys, I think it's a 5.0 is the best bonus that you get. You can really bring down how much taxes that you're having on market stuff. Because 8% is kind of crazy. Because I mean, if you think about that, if you're flipping stuff, you have to just to make a profit. You're almost at this needing to do a 20% markup.
Mm-hmm.
Just to
Yeah, by the time you cover your tax costs, I mean, it says 8%, so round that up to 10, and any type of shipping or other expenses that you have. And if you're going to relist it, you're going to pay that.
Yep.
Yeah, so you're going to be working on a 4% margin if you don't. Yeah, so that'll help out a bit. I have not played with that yet. I haven't seen anything with that. But as we talked about at the beginning, is we're going to start doing some market warfare, and I do have a well-trained marketing alt to handle all my affairs in that way. So my PvP alts, Night Flyer and Menko, don't have to deal with any of that. So looking to see what kind of margin or what kind of profit scale she can come up with. So I'll have to hit up some of the spreadsheets here. I have been actually using Adam for Eve a lot more lately too. So.
Oh, is that the Excel import?
Yeah. I was doing some of that stuff. They've got some templates and stuff in there, so I have been trying to play with that a little bit over the last week while I'm on break, not playing Eve and working on my marketing stuff. So yeah, I think that's going to be huge, and I'm just wondering, I always try to figure out what is CCP trying to think, and I always end up being wrong. But I know it would appear to me that they're trying to bring costs down on things, so that more things can be bought and sold on the market, which means more things will be built in industry, which means more ships will be blown up. So I'm
Well, I
guessing.
believe that this is also in response to increasing the manufacturing tax, which is the manufacturing taxes is not going to make up for this. But this is a pretty huge, because this is where this is like one of the biggest sinks in the game is market tax. So we'll see what that does. So this might increase inflation, though. It's like kind of the whole, be more ISK in the game than ever before, which is always going to be a case. But
another update I really liked, we talked about, I think pre-game, was the daily goals have now doubled from 4 to 8.
Yep.
You get 2 combats, 2 data relic awards. So it's nice because I can make a manufacturing site and then go get like 50 LP, and then I can clear like 4 of the 8 daily goals with just like barely leaving the station. I can go kill 1 ship and make 1 round of ammo, and I can collect the SP. And with my alpha alt, that's awesome, because that's the only way. She's maxed out her 5 million points, so it's the only points she gets is what she can earn in game now. And if I'm gonna grow her at all, I gotta keep staying up on that. So I do appreciate that and the opportunities that's coming. And of course, as you brought up too, is the Plex that you can obtain at the end of the month as an Omega.
And remember, this is per character, not per account. So you can go to each one of your 3 characters per account and get 50 Plex per month. And by having it be 8 different daily goals, you only need to do it 12 times out of the month. It's something I'm actually considering. Might as well just start collecting Plex now. And we'll see.
Yeah, Plex was good. I actually just spent some because I have my alpha character is Hooter McBoob, and I had to get the augmentations so that she actually had boobies. I know it's kind of sexist, and I apologize, but I'm gonna consider it role playing. That's her name. She's Hooter McBoob, and she's got to have some boobies. So, so I actually spent some of her Plex on that, which was nice.
So the next thing is that there's some big changes to, well, not big, but some, I think, good changes to the vendor fees. 30% to 20%, and there's a skill to reduce that down to 15%. So it's you get like, they're half what it used to be basically if you train up the skill for it. I find this really weird how they're making this a skill, how this is like a special thing that your character is doing in the game. Like it's got its own manufacturing line, and it's the one thing that has really turned me off from doing it.
Yeah, you and I have not been very favorable of the ship skinner.
I'm
rolled out was not what I think anybody, including you and I, were anticipating.
I'm okay with. I'm fine. The thing is that overall, I don't think that it's a bad thing for the game at all. Like, do whatever you want with your skin stuff and play with it. But this iteration was not something that I would be involved in, because their base skins are fine enough. Their most, the 300,000 ISK ship bio skin, which you can just get from doing different, I believe that there's different things that you can do inside of the game, like the
there's drops there.
Project Discovery, that's what it is.
That, I think even some of the data hubs or relic hubs.
But you can really just go buy it in Jeddah for 300,000 ISK. and you've got a skin for almost all ships have a cheap ass skin that's kind of cool. And then there are really cool skins out there that I really want to have. Luckily, a lot of those are really cheap or come from like events that you can only get during the event, and it applies directly, so you can't buy it on market. So
Alexei Vicar had brought up from Declarations of War, had brought up that he was trying to fly like a VNI or something like that, and didn't have a skin for it, or there was a limited amount of skins. He's like, I own every skin for this ship, and there's only like 3 of them. So if I can, the skinner allows me to pick any ship I want that's in there, and make and design a skin for it. I'm like, well, I guess that's a thing. You can have your own personal skin on the ship that you want, and the skins that ship offers you don't like. So I have played with the Skinner a little bit. I haven't bought any of the skill books or done any of that. I don't think I'm going to get into it so much, but I did see kind of the draw of it. I could see I designed my own personal Night Flyer skin, the purple and gold colors, and I'm like, that's actually pretty cool. So, but I don't know that I want to spend the 70 plex to actually cook it, for 3 days. I don't think I want to burn the skill points to, bring that time down.
right.
So, yeah, I mean, but this has been something that I've heard talked about since I started playing the game, is how if, they would let us design our own skins, like how much money we would spend on that. So, and seeing what some of the people are charging for skins, I've seen some up on market for like 500 plex. I personally wouldn't spend that on it, but if you're one of those people that would, then okay, great. I mean, if the skin's that cool.
I mean, you have to
But
remember that's only 2.5 billion ISK. People,
yeah,
I mean, people bought your Kiki skin for how much, and I
yeah,
mean,
that
yeah,
was
that's cool, but
yeah, 14 mil, so, or 14 bill. But I've been living on that 14 bill since we got back from Iceland. And I still think I'm only like halfway through it. So, yeah, I don't know. Again, it's just me. I mean, I'm kind of cheap in real life as well as game. I don't. Um, I like skins. I like having a decent skin on my ship. I don't know why, but I guess the same reason everybody else does.
I guess yeah, skins are cool. I do have to say, we barely ever look at it, but I'm also a streamer, so I do like to look
Yeah,
at my ship
it's
more
true.
than maybe other people and try and get good little
Yeah, and I
shots of the
started thinking about it
background.
too, like, well, how many, exotic dancers do I have, in my cargo hold when I'm flying too? Like, nobody's ever going to see that until I get blown up. So, but, there's usually at least one, exotic dancer in my cargo hold. So, if not 2, typically 2, because I don't want them getting bored. When I'm
Yeah,
busy
they have to.
doing faction warfare stuff, I want them to be able to, have someone to talk to. So, sometimes I'll have a janitor in there, but usually it's the female exotic dancers. Sometimes male.
I like janitors. Janitors are good to have.
Gotta have a janitor.
Cleaning up the stuff. I do like having some spices and alcohol and rum and some cigarettes, tobacco.
Well, now you're having a party, and that's what I like to think about too. Is that I can be out doing faction warfare, I can be out plexing, but the people in my ship are having a good time, and
yeah,
I think that's what it's really all about. This game is about having a good time. It's about fun. So you got to have those things in your cargo hold. But again, like I said, it's one of those things that is there and you can enjoy it. And I think if you're taking enjoyment from it, then it's worthwhile. But yeah, I just going back to I just think my enjoyment of that has a limit, and I'm just not spending like I probably wouldn't spend more than 100 plex on a skin, no matter how cool it was. But I'm trying to think of the most expensive skin I've bought. I don't think I've ever bought a skin more than 400 million or 500 million.
Yeah.
So, I just have limits. I don't know. I've got enough free skins and ones that I've won or come across or have. I think half the skins I've gotten from streamers like you. I think I got a wolf skin from you that was like a 50 million skin. I love that wolf skin. So
There are
thanks for
some
that.
really good. There are some really good skins out there, and the Skinner does allow you to make some really good skins. Um, so I like that they have it in game. I'm okay with them kind of slow doing I would call this like a slow rollout of this, of them kind of like, okay, we're just gonna make it really ridiculously expensive right away at the beginning, but let people kind of check it out. You know how many people are really that crazy about it that even if we make it expensive, but then so it's just the early it's an early adopters thing. These guys are buying the iPhone 1. They got the iPhone 1. They're pissed off that it's the iPhone 1.
I don't even want to talk about phones. Oh boy. We got that last update, and now it's nothing but.
But I don't think there's any other major fixes.
No, they fixed like kill boards, small answer booster repper will now display the size of small. Oh, okay.
Oh, they did add the 15,000 free SP per week for Omega.
That is awesome.
This is a nice one.
And we've talked about that before. I think I talked to Brisker Ball about this, like how they're missing out on doing it. And I know, not that you want to do the microtransactions and stuff all the time, but I think this is an easy way to do it. Is if your daily goal, that's what we're kind of talking about, is the daily goals on it. Was it's more than just logging in and hitting, hey, I logged into the game. But if you log into the game, go to the Eve store, and it's something there that you can, you have to log into the Eve store to get
just
your
looking
item.
at the Eve store, and especially if I get some free Plex that's coming in a monthly basis. So now I have some currency that I can, free that I get in game that automatically gets, that I have to do something with. So why not spend it on these things? But also, I'm 50, Plex short, after a few months of building up a wallet, right? And then you're just like, oh, okay, well, I'll spend, what, $6 or whatever,
And again, you should always be running a sale. You put that right next to it, and you go, okay, hey, here's some booster, basic booster accelerators. You get +2 on training on this. It's 5 Plex. Like, why wouldn't you buy that? It's 5 Plex. Oh, men's black shirt, tight fitting. Look at that. That's a sexy shirt. That's 10 Plex. A bunch of catalyst skins for 1 Plex. It's 1 Plex. Like, why don't I already own all of those? Otherwise, I'd buy them. But yeah, you should have. I mean, and that should be something you do. You should always be running sales. I mean, that's just marketing 101. That's owning a business, which I've done. And
yeah, actually, there's stories about businesses that have been like, I'm never saying we're just gonna always sell at the right price.
Yeah.
And people are like, people hated that.
No.
Because they want to see, I got a 50-60% deal. Did you see this, man? I bought this at 60% off. Like,
no, yeah, I want a deal. I want to see that I'm getting something that I normally couldn't get. So, yeah, I don't know.
Even if it's a complete lie.
Yeah, but and I've talked to my partner about this too. Is that we would have lost leaders. You have, you're gonna have product that just. This is what I bought it for, and I can't sell it for that. So right now I'm making nothing. If I sell it for a loss, I'm limiting my loss. So if I spent $100 from the manufacturer to buy it, nobody's want to buy it. Well, I've already spent that $100. So if I sell it for 80, I at least get 80 of my $100 back. And he'd argue with me. I'm like, all right, well, then you let it sit on the shelf, marked at $140, and it's never going to sell. You've already spent the money. You are out $100, from this day forward, because it's not going to sell. And kind of the same thing with these. You got to have a sale. That's our bottom line with these. So put that on there. Get people to log in, look in. Hey, here's our weekly sale item. Here's your 15,000 skill points. Oh, by the way, here's a bunch of stuff you can buy with Plex. This is the you can call it your fire sale, your burner. I don't know what you want to call it. But,
well, so in you're talking also about like even what you can do is you can put the price so high that people buying it at the beginning are basically subsidizing the people who buy it later. at a cheaper price, because even if you're taking a loss, you're just, like you said, getting rid of, your inventory. Like, it's either going to be $0 or some money, so you might as well sell it for some money, but yeah, so it's we'll see. We'll see how this all kind of rolls out, but I'm liking it. The one thing that I wish that they would do is that the monthly giveaways would bring back, or in some way they've got to find a way to bring back daily drugs. I want my drugs.
I do miss the daily drugs. Every once in a while, you get the 2s and the 3s, but every once in a while you get that 5, and you're like, oh, this is gonna be a good roam.
Yeah. Just gives you, just a little bit of variance, I think.
I can take out a naked clone. I don't have to have implants in, and I can pop one of those. It's good for 2 hours. That's all I got to play. So, pretty good on that.
And to be honest, I didn't use them as much but it was always nice just to have that. It's like, okay, I'm gonna go out and do some solo PvP. Yeah, like you said, I don't want to, go crazy on fitting or on implants. I'm just, but if I just pop a drug, I get, 4% more turret damage, agility, ship speed. Yeah. All right.
Again, it's not like I have.
That's all I'm going to do is play for the next 4 hours anyways.
Yeah. I don't have any more of a bonus than anybody else because everybody else got that same drug. So if they choose to use it today or they want to wait till next week, that's up to them.
Yeah.
So I think it's actually more fair, or at least better balanced, because now, I'm going up against that hook bill, and I don't know if that guy's got implants in until, he totally kicks my ass. So.
Well, I mean, I don't think that it really doesn't. I think that my argument would be it's changing my mindset. It's much more, if I see that I have a drug, I'm much more likely to be like, I should go out and, do some PvP if that drug is starting to expire.
No,
it's
absolutely.
Like, I should go use that. I
totally agree with that. 100% agree with that, because I know I've done it. I know I've already taken the drug. It's got 40 minutes left. I might as well undock and see what I can do.
Yeah.
Whatever. And I've done that with exploration. I've done it with mining. So those drugs have kept me in space just for that reason.
All right. So I think that this kind of leads us into our main topic of the night here. So solo PvP in EVE Online, what, especially specifically faction warfare, is what we're going to kind of focus in on, and the faction warfare life of solo PvP. There's a lot of different PvP in EVE Online. There's a lot of different places and ways to get solo PvP in the game. I would say I have the most amount of fun with solo PvP in faction warfare. And one of the main reasons why I like faction warfare solo PvP is because it's usually 1v1 when I'm doing solo, maybe 1v4, kind of scenarios that'll happen. But in Frig 1v1, which is the thing that I like to do the most, I find that you mostly get 1v1s.
Yeah, in a Frig.
And even if somebody's coming in if they are trying to set up a trap, if they have to come from somewhere else, they have to warp, land, and that is a lot of time. Like, frigate fights are usually over in like a minute, so they're usually coming in at the ass end of it, and I don't usually just stick out around, hanging out at the warp-in point once the fight begins. Especially with the way that I do PvP, solo PvP, I would have to say I'm much more likely to be 40 or 50 kilometers off by the time that we end the fight. Hey, how's it going, gaming? But yeah.
Hey, buddy.
So yeah, things that I've kind of learned in faction warfare PvP is I feel like there's I guess solo PvP and faction warfare, there's two main ways I would go about doing faction warfare solo PvP from my experience. One is to be a hunter, and I don't like doing this activity, and I don't have a lot of help that I can give in this area, to be honest, because solo hunting is one of the harder things to do, actually, because you have to go out. It's more active, which is kind of nice, but solo hunting makes it so you are at a massive disadvantage. Um, one, there is one advantage to hunting is that you're much more likely to get a solo PvP interaction, or sorry, a 1v1 interaction, and you're much more likely to feel more confident in that, because if you go in on somebody and they're by themselves, their help is a minute to 2 minutes away. Because what can happen when you have somebody coming in on you is they come in on you, and immediately upon them like landing, before they even get point, their people have already been in warp, have landed, and come in on you. It's much harder to pull off such a thing, to really keep off of that D-scan, and not get seen before the jig is up before the solo fight starts. But I would say that hunting allows you to feel like you're not going to get just somebody's going to come and try and mess up this 1v1. You have a lot of targets that you're going to be running after that don't want to be in a 1v1, and they'll run from you, and they're just trying to make just trying to make LP, and even if they have like a superior destroyer, a navy destroyer versus a navy frigate, they'll still run away from you. However, I find that that's less and less. The base destroyer is what's used by people if they are just out there looking to make some money, and even those guys will fight. But I have found a lot of success not doing hunting, because hunting is it's kind of frustrating, to be honest. Like, because there is a lot of people running basically from you, and it's exhilarating to catch somebody, and a lot of the people that you will catch don't want to fight, and they're gonna die. So it's kind of less exhilarating for me, because there's a lot of chase and less just like my heart is pumping just because the fight is here. So my suggestion is to not do hunting, and the main thing that I'm going to focus on is talking about hanging out inside of a Plex and setting it up so that you dictate the fight, because this is where you have lots to play with. There's lots of different ways of kind of going at it, and there's different things that can come in on you, but you control a lot of the initial engagement and how it's going to go. If you're at range, you start at range. If you want to be on the button, being ready to hit the person straight away with blasters, you're right on the button. There is some things that I will say from what hunters will do and what I have done, which is a lot of the times, if you're going to be engaging somebody, they're going to try and burn off from you. If they can get away from you, they can start kiting you, and then your blaster ship is completely useless. So you need to be really careful on making sure that if you're in a blaster ship, you're in a ship that can catch something that's going to be coming in on the button, and catching it before it is able to warp off, or before it's able to micro warp drive away from you. But I prefer being kind of a mix of a brawler and a kiter, a scram kiter as they're called. So for my solo PvP activities, my main ship that I probably use, and the one that I have the most fun with, and you can kind of see that I'm on the board right here, so I just got 4 kills in a row before coming on, but I didn't stream any of it, but this is with the Comet. the Comet long range. I think that Super Agent has the same comment as what I comment as what I had. So if you go up, um, so I think when me and Super Agent Agent J Square,
Mm-hmm.
I think that he's the same fit. Yeah, this is the
All right.
same
Yeah. So,
exact fit. So yeah, 150 millimeter cannons, um, the Trimark Tech 2 hull tank, uh, what are they called?
transverse bulkheads.
Transverse bulkheads. Um, you've got the NOS to keep your cap up when you're kind of brawling it out. You've got the afterburner scram web. You have a ancillary armor repper, a magnetic field stabilizer, an overdrive injector, and a damage control unit. All Tech 2 except for, of course, the ancillary. And actually, the ancillary, you could just probably do a lot of abyssal. Pretty cheap to get an abyssal modifier that you can try and throw on there.
It's interesting. I didn't think of
They're
that.
fairly cheap ones. I've seen a lot of people do that. Um, I actually haven't, which actually, really, after I've kind of started seeing it more and more, I'm like, that's not a bad idea to throw just an abyssal, like make my own abyssal um,
Mm-hmm.
ancillary armor repper, because there is no Tech 2 or faction versions of that, so.
Which is a shame. There should be a faction version.
Yeah, but it also means it doesn't cost.
Mm.
You know, so the faction version is just finding it in the abyssals. But in any case, so this is a really great ship. There's two reasons, there's multiple reasons, but two really big reasons why I like this is because it can be offense and defense. It can be long range and short range. The only thing that it has a really big problem with is being super short range. So if you can get within like 4 kilometers and orbit at 4 kilometers with dual webs on it and be at a fairly, with my web only bringing you down one, if you have two Tech 2, this is all like 60%, and 60% is a pretty big buff over 55 and 55, especially when I'm normally with the overdrive injector going to be outrunning like just base. I'm going to be faster with the afterburner. I have normally range control over everything except for dual web stuff, and even dual web has a problem because if they're not overheating and I'm overheating, I have a Tech 2 afterburner. If they have a Tech 1 afterburner, like the dual web is not really putting me down into like you're just like massively increasing your speed on me. If I get the giddy up and go, I've definitely been able to immediately start a fight with a dual web hook bill where I landed at 0 basically on them, and I was 8 kilometers away by the time that this fight really started going. And then I'm slowly, they're slowly catching up with me. They're trying to avoid, go at an angle to a certain degree after a little while, because getting punched in the face by rails is not fun, especially with a dual web setup. So I've seen people also use a tracking disruptor can fuck with them to a certain degree for sure. But it's not horrible unless they're a ship that's designed for tracking disruption. Because a lot of the times in these kind of fights you can keep at range and kind of just pull away from your target type kind of stuff, where your tracking is not a huge issue a lot of the times in this with this fit. You either control range and you're in a really good spot and that's just what you do, or you're fighting the exact same thing as you, and then it becomes about like a bunch of different stuff. Like
And you got your drones. So those are always
Drones are huge. I use warriors, and I think that I've been doing hobgoblins, but just because they have the highest damage possibility. But I might switch it over to acolytes kind of moving forward, just because EM and explosive damage with thermal kinetic damage means that you become a rainbow damage, which is kind of nice for trying to find a hole in something. But I also kind of gear it towards the thing that I'm fighting. In hook bills, I would much rather have an EM over explosive or thermal. But thermal is not a bad thing sometimes. Like, it's the highest damage, which is the one that kind of draws me there. But it's both shields and armor have an okay resist to thermal.
Sorry, I'm trying to get something to pull up here when it's fighting with me, as always.
But yeah, I would say faction warfare solo PvP is alive and well. One of the big things to find solo frig PvP is to go into a scout. If you chill out inside of a scout for 10 minutes in a active war zone, you're probably going to get somebody to come in on you. Now, will they have backup? Maybe. It's a scout, though. It's the most annoying one to bring backup to, because they don't accept anything above a Navy frigate. So most people are flying around and destroyers are higher, having fun in the smalls and mediums and larges. And scouts also don't mean diddly shit for contesting a star system. They're okay LP, but not that great. The worst definitely LP to time ratio in the Plex structure. So nobody really goes there unless they're kind of looking for PvP. So hunters, would be another thing I would suggest to do, is go to scouts. Like, scouts is where you're going to find people that are probably willing to throw their ship away to get into a fight. They also have all the advantage because they can set themselves up. Am I a long-range kitey ship, or am I a short-range brawly ship, or am I a scram kite ship? So they get to kind of set the initial engagement up. But there is an insane amount of solo that is happening every day in faction warfare space. And some of the stuff that you can kind of see is we've got up on the screen here. Lots of frigates. Frigates is where you're going to get the most amount of solo PvP. But you can see that it's, tons of every hour there is at least one solo frig fight, going on in AD leads.
Yeah, a couple destroyers, but I'd have to say probably 80% of these are, even higher, maybe 90%, are frigates over the destroyers.
And that's where you're going to get your best solo PvP. And one of the reasons being is that much more people are willing to throw away a 20 million, 30 million-isk frigate than they are to throw away a 100 million-isk cruiser. The next one I would say is destroyers is the next big one. But you're right. They're still at like 10% of the fights that are happening. This is in Hadelees.
Yeah, because, you can even look at this.
Yeah.
You got Comet Hook Bill. That doesn't count. And then
Catalyst Navy issue, and of course their Navy issue, Imperial Slicer Navy issue.
Yeah, so there's only 2 of the top 10. So I go with that. We'll go with
Thrasher
80%.
Fleet issue is in there, and that's like the top 7 or 8.
All right, so 70% of your fights, can be in a frigate.
But yeah, it's
one of the things I did want to go back to too, because you're talking about the warrior, putting in warriors. I've been actually using faction drones in there. Just
Mm.
that little bit better tracking speed and orbiting speed that they have. I've just been having a little better luck with, and honestly, I'm just exchanging my LP for them anyway, so they're more or less free for me. So, um, yeah, I cash in all my hobgoblin or the ones and the tech ones and trade them in for the faction ones. I've got like a hanger full of them now. So, but having good luck. You give up a little of the hit points um,
I thought they
with the
had better
faction
hit points.
tech two. Nah, it's a little less than the tech two. They're just it's the same damage output though. But they orbit faster and have better tracking.
Oh, interesting.
So
A little bit,
overall,
technically a little bit more expensive, but
yeah. I mean, if you're gonna buy them on the market or sell them on the market, they're gonna cost you more. But like I said, if you're doing faction warfare, you're getting LP. Um,
kind of free, right?
yeah, and you can get T1, you know, drones all over the place. They're like what 5,000 ISK maybe if you don't pick them up free
Right,
from
you could just pick them
ratting.
up from the fucking
Yeah, I do my daily
base drone.
goals. You go out, you do your ratting, you shoot up your 25 things. Usually one of them will drop a drone, and after a couple of days, well, I've got 5. I take those in, exchange them, boom, boom, done, and throw them in the hall.
All
So,
right. But yeah, I would say so. The other thing though is that the other big ship that I use would be the Catalyst. The Catalyst blaster over prop is just so it's faster than a Navy Comet, um, and it's an afterburner, and so you can just kind of approach and kill. You know, solo it's good, lead it's good. Um, The only thing that sucks about it is if you get away from if you're in a after or something faster than it and you get away from it, like it can't hit past like 10 kilometers, like
yeah,
even with
that's
null.
yeah. I run into that problem when I've lost my destroyers, especially like even with some frigates. You know, you could have a hook bill come in. Well, if they start circling you at 12K, you're out of the fight. It's just now you're you know, or even around 10K, your webs are scramped, and you're in it now, and I can't touch them, and that's sad. So
Yeah, are you using overprop? Though is one big thing. Um, because if you're micro warp drive, I do not suggest a solo setup unless you are setting it up so that you already start out of range and you're micro warp driving faster and your setup is kind of designed to just stay at like 15 to 20 kilometers and you can set up the fight that way. You should just go with an afterburner and just or an oversized afterburner and just punch into your target. Like,
yeah, I have not been using um, the T2 afterburner um, very often in most of my setups, but I am working on a lot of fits, so that is something I will have to need to like look into. That makes sense.
but yeah, I've been having fun with that. I've been also having a lot of fun with the ENI, which is a really great
Mhm.
solo ship. Um, and that has the potential to hit almost 1,000 DPS with blasters. You go dual web, gram, afterburner, fucking full blaster rack, and you can do 1,600 millimeter plate, adaptive reactive membrane that you can kind of throw on there, and you can get yourself set up so that you have like somewhere around like 40,000 um, EHP for a blaster ENI, and they're just nasty, like just so nasty.
Yeah, I love that setup. I love getting into the mediums and just sitting on the point. And if somebody wants to come in, um,
Yeah, we'll just ravage you.
yeah,
Like,
because until they land, they don't know where you're at in there in the plex. Because if I'm rail, because I'll do that too. You can sit in that rail and be 20 off and start punching them in the face, and you're already lined out and burning away as they come in and start plinking away. But with that blaster, once they land on top of you, that's
You've committed.
yeah, you're kind of into it. So if you can, especially, and if they got backup on the way, just like with the frigates, you're putting out enough damage that hopefully you can get them down and out before their backup can warp land.
Yeah, 40. It's like a lot of frigates or destroyer, cruisers will have around 40,000 EHP, give or take. And if you can, so that's like 40 seconds with E&I. So you've got 40 seconds to basically wipe this guy out and then get the fuck out. And I've had that happen where they did get a VNI or vigil that came in, so I had to kill the vigil, and then they had a caracal that had come in, and another thing had come in, and I was like, fuck, like after this great solo slash vigil came in, I've lost the cruiser one. So cruisers can be a little bit of a slower kind of much more likely to get jumped if you're in a cruiser and higher, and people are much more excited about catching a cruiser and higher type kind of stuff. The bigger that you go, the more likely a gang of people is going to want to come after you, but there is a ton of stuff to do in that respect in faction warfare, I think, as well. You have to be careful about becoming known as the person who does it, but using flexes and stuff like that, you can prevent a lot of people being able to drop like supers and like a black ops marshal gang on top of you or whatever, and you can throw vargers around in advanced larges, in all these other things that sometimes in Plex warfare you can throw out big battleships and stuff like that and have a little bit of fun and then just be able to dock them up back up, and face off against a small group of people that you take your one battleship that's designed to kill 20 frigates, and there's a 20 frigate gang that's out inside of this Plex. You can go take your battleship and go do. Those are much more rare occurrences, for sure. I would say that hourly there's fights to be had, solo PvP style in faction warfare. Hey Dealey's just looking at the kill board, you can kind of see that there's at least one an hour, if not several an hour that are happening.
Yeah.
So I logged in today, and within the first like 40 minutes, I had 4 fights, back to back to back to back of solo frigate combat over scouts in Hadeely, and it was just one after another. I got kill after kill after kill, and it was a lot of fun,
Yeah, you got Hookbill, and then the Atron was before that, Hookbill before that.
And I had killed the Hookbill, and then an Atron came in, and I was trying to get the loot from the Hookbill, but I had killed the Atron. So then Lurk came in and took the loot from from the Hookbill, and we got on that Hookbill kill too, because he was fighting with I think the Hookbill killed him, and like.
Oh, so he was trying to get back his own loot from.
So it was this whole thing.
Lurk.
But yeah, there's Lurk, of course, is going to be out and about in the Navy Comet. He's one of the most prevalent Haydai-less since pirates.
He's very active. You see, he's number 5 on this week's kill chart. He's at 52 kills for.
And almost all of them are solo, a very small gang, and almost all of them are in a Comet. Like, that's what he flies. He flies the Comet.
I'm pulling him up.
Oh, yeah. He does have a Catalyst Navy issue he's gotten some kills with, and an Omen Navy issue, and a Talos.
Yeah, so 87.
87
so
no
he does
for
fly other stuff, but yeah, he's in that Catalyst, or the Comet. Again, it's a great ship. I really, I like that ship. You just went on about it, so I need some more of those, honestly. So
Got a ship ton. Just let me know.
yeah,
Get
I
you
might
set
have
up.
to. I think I've got plenty of the stuff to outfit them. I just don't actually have the hulls. But again, with Nightflyer coming back into faction warfare full time, um, he's got to switch his inventory over from the stuff the stuff we would use on contracts. Not a lot of faction warfare ships, but yeah. Now, so now I just have to bring that all up. But also looking for the time where we can actually bring out some of the big toys into faction warfare. I've got not a lot, but I do have a handful of battleships and stuff that I'm hoping we will get a chance to use in some of these larger skirmishes and stuff coming up.
Well, one of the things I want to do more of is where like me and you just take like two battleships and go fight like the 5-man cruiser gang, like.
Yeah, yeah, I would like. That is one of my goals. Kind of get into is doing a lot more the dual boxing, or at least are going out with a partner, and you guys can kind of work off of each other.
Mm-hmm.
Um, kind of with that preset plan if we're in the same ships, and like so we can rep each other and kind of do that stuff. Then um, that's really what I would really trying to work on. A lot of the ship builds I am doing now is how do I get two of these to kind of work together as a team. If I'm dual boxing, can they, how would the two of them best assist each other? So
Yep.
playing with a lot of comps that way. Um, Again, I love the. Um, I said I was trying to build that thorax. It just never came. I do love the Vexor or the VNI. But you can even get into the Tristans and stuff. Those work really good in tandem together because you can have one close and one far. You can put different drones and stuff in them. But we'll see. I don't know. We'll work on it. Come up with a plan.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think. Is there anything else that we want to talk about for this episode?
No, I'm kind of talked out. I think I'm going to be losing my voice here in a minute.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, thank you for coming on, and we have some more interviews that we're going to be doing in the future. Stay tuned for some changes that we're going to be making, and we talk about change coming, and sometimes it doesn't happen, but sometimes it does. So, so yeah, stay tuned. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for listening, and have a great night.
Night, everybody.